Hey everyone, this is a quick review of the DeWalt Cordless Inflator. I've had this thing for a couple years now and I absolutely love it. It works with any of DeWalt's 20-volt batteries as well as the flex volt batteries, and it has two different functions. So it's got a high pressure, low output, which is for wheels and tires. And then it's got a high volume, low pressure, which is for doing things like air mattresses and pool floats and other things like that. Also, you can do balls with this on the high pressure side. You can do basketballs, any other ball that needs a needle valve to inflate. So I carry this with me everywhere I go. I just leave it in the trunk of my car, especially on road trips. This thing is absolutely awesome for some peace of mind. And you don't always have to have a DeWalt battery with it either. It's got an integrated power cord that you can plug in right here, and it plugs into your cigarette outlet in your car, and it's got enough cord that I could easily reach the back wheels on my van to inflate them. I had several feet left over, so even if you've got a big truck, I think this should be able to reach them. They do have a big note in here that it is not a charger, so it will not charge your 18-volt batteries off of your 12-volt car batteries. So this has a couple different functions. It's got an on-off button. It's got backlit displays, so even if you're inflating a tire by the side of the road at night, you can still see what pressure you're setting it to. And not only that, but it also has an integrated work light. It's not very bright, but it's enough to see what you're doing by the side of the road if you're stuck somewhere. So you can set it down, aim that at your tire, and then pull the hose out and just inflate your tire, and you can see what you're doing while you're doing it. So that's a really great feature. DeWalt really thought this out well as far as utility goes. So the controls on this are really simple. You've got two different modes. You've got your high pressure mode and your low pressure mode. So this is low pressure, high volume for air mattresses and pool toys. This one over here, when you hit it, you'll get your PSI gauge. This is what is actually reading on the hose, and then this is what your desired pressure is. So you can just take this wheel and spin it to whatever pressure you want, and then you can hit the start button in the middle of this, and it will start going. When it gets to its desired pressure, it will stop automatically, so you don't have to sit there and babysit it or hold a trigger down or do anything. You can just start it going and walk away. So I've recently used this. My car's TPMS sensor went off because it got cold, and I checked the pressures, and they were between 25 to 26 PSI, and they were supposed to be 35 PSI. So bumping it up from 25 to 35, these are just small 15-inch rims. It only took it about 45 seconds per tire. With larger tires, my van has 18-inch rims, and with those, it was going about a minute and 15 seconds to a minute and a half for 25 to 35 PSI for that range. So it doesn't take very long per wheel. Now in the manual, DeWalt does specify this has a 10-minute on, 20-minute off duty cycle. So that means out of every half hour, you can only run it 10 minutes. However, I've always been able to do all of my vehicle tires in under 6 minutes, and that's for the van that has 18-inch rims. If you've got big truck tires that are really flat, you might end up having to wait or risk damaging the tool. I've never pushed it over 10 minutes. I don't think it has an auto-off function, but you're just really not supposed to use it any longer than that at a time because it will overheat and could damage some seals. It doesn't use very much battery either. I just did both of my vehicles on this 6 amp hour flex volt, and I still have 2 of the 3 bars left. I've done whole vehicles on a 1.5 amp hour or a 2 amp hour battery before, and it does fine as well. This has a nice rubberized grip and rubberized feet as well, so you can set it down and it's not going to vibrate away. One thing, if you've got a bigger battery on it, you really need to lay it down. For these bigger battery packs, I've got a 6 amp hour battery and a 6 amp hour flex volt. Both of these really need it to lay down because they stick out below the bottom and you don't want it resting on the battery while it's running. One thing I have noticed that is a little bit frustrating is these bigger batteries that use the 21700 cells instead of the 18650 cells seem to stick in here quite a bit harder, and they're really hard to pull out. So it takes 2 hands to get the bigger batteries out for some reason. I don't know why that is. I guess there's just a little bit different fitment on these as compared to the smaller batteries that use 18650 cells. It's nice to have the blower for overall utility, and the blower is a shrieking high-pitched sound on this DeWalt. The blower function on this has a bayonet that locks in, and you've got a inflate and a deflate port. So That's just where it pulls air from each of these. It turns, locks, and then you've got a swivel on the hose, so you can swivel this as well. You've got a little attachment here in case you need this type of attachment, or if you're doing an air mattress, you need this nozzle diameter. And then you've got a few more. You've got a needle valve here, and then a few more adapters as well for whatever different attachments you might need. And they all store on board. That's what I really like about this thing, is there's a place to put all of these hoses so they're not just all dangling around and getting in your way. So overall, I think this is a fantastic tool. It is definitely some peace of mind when you're out on the road, on a long road trip. And it's something that I always carry with me. So highly recommend this thing, especially if you're already on the DeWalt platform. I picked mine up several years ago, and I've gotten lots of use out of it since.